The biggest cryptocurrency crash in history of over $35,000 since the highs of near 65,000 US dollars. A 35% drop in a single daily candle and well over 50% dump from the all-time highs. And in anticipation of finding a bottom, many people looked to buy the dip, but many exchanges were down across the board, preventing retail from entering into new positions. Take note of which exchanges stayed up and which exchanges were unavailable. The ultimate shakeout confirmed. I am your host, Lester, losing my life savings, and boy, what an absolutely insane, absolutely history-breaking dump that we've seen over the last 24 hours. Guys, this is one for the history books. You know, going back to 2017, we always talk about how crazy 2017 was, how crazy 2018 was. I'm going to venture out on a limb here and say, timing-wise and psychologically, this may be the most intense drop that most of the people here have ever witnessed, especially if you've been in crypto for 6 months or less, 100%, okay? But this is by far one of the most wild drops in history, and the fear is absolutely through the roof. This drop was lower than I was expecting, but I suppose that it had to be in order to do the psychological damage needed for many retail investors. And guys, before we go any further, I personally think that there are a decent percentage of retail investors, okay, we're talking about retail investors that have now, as of today, exited the market, and there's probably a fraction of them that will not be back, okay? There are some people that absolutely have been shaken out, right? This is kind of the entire point of this, a shakeout. So without a doubt, there are people, this is the type of day that can shake people out of their bags. And as well, let's be a little realistic. To make money in this market, to really make money in this market, to be in crypto for years and years and years, you gotta be a little cuckoo, you know what I mean? You gotta be a little crazy, let's be honest. You gotta have something going on up here that sets you apart from other people, and that is just a fact. And there's actually so many things that I wanna jump into today. There's a million different thoughts going through my head. And yeah, this, you know, the bigger questions. Is this the end of the drop? Is this the bounce we've been waiting for? Is this the end of this bearish consolidation? Are we entering a bear market? Are we continuing this bull market? And so much more. So you guys are on the channel, in case you never miss these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. And without any further ado, let's not waste any more time, and let's dump in. Sheesh, where to begin? So many things going on. Okay, we have people that are bulls in this market that are being looked at by bears as idiots who fail to see that this bear market is here. And then we have bulls who are looking at the bears crying about this dip, right? Crying about all of this, screaming, oh, it's a bear market, everything's over, pack your bags, looking at them like they're weak little babies with soiled diapers. So we have the picture-perfect psychological battle going on right here. The bears versus the bulls in full HD, absolutely wild. And again, we have a lot of different topics to get into, but I wanted to start off with this. The Dow Jones opened up today 400 points lower than it was, right? The S&P or the SPX down 1.4% as well on open. The NASDAQ composite opened with a loss of 1.5%. So we see some major dumpage here. And as well, Bitcoin intensifying their dump. This was posted just a few hours ago, tanking 30% in a single day to $30,000, even a little below $30,000 on some exchanges. So this is, yeah, it says here in a single day amid broad crypto sell-off. So guys, this is absolutely game-changing. And I made a video yesterday, cycle-changing moment. It says biggest Bitcoin move incoming, cycle-changing moment. And realistically, as I've been saying for a few days, I didn't think this dump was over. I was wrong in that I did not necessarily think Bitcoin would go as low as it did. I thought we would have a really big wick, okay? I thought basically exactly how this move played out, I thought would happen. However, it went lower than I thought. In terms of how this has played out so far, absolutely expected, but in terms of how low it went, that caught me off guard, and I think it caught a lot of people off guard, right? And I guess, as I said just a few minutes ago, I guess it really has to catch us off guard, because realistically, during these type of moves, guys, these are psychological games, and if everybody's making YouTube videos, everybody's saying, oh, this'll hold, this'll hold, this'll hold, I mean, I guess it does make sense that, you know, it has to get a little more crazy than everyone thinks, because psychologically, it has to do some damage. Otherwise, it can't be the bottom of a market. market. These markets are basically just psychology. And when you have everybody being in fear, or at least most people, when you have most people being fearful, when you have most people saying, you know what, or at least having that thought in the back of their mind thinking, is this a bear market? Maybe this is a bear market. That's when you know it's actually getting to people. And that's when you know we're entering territory of, okay, this is actually shifting to either a mega bottom or a reversal. So again, this is again, it's not a day that I think a lot of people like, right? Because for the most part, our portfolios, well, all of our portfolios are less. I mean, if you're shorting the market, you're making money. However, if you have a big hodler bag, you know, a big bag that you don't trade and you just keep for long term, obviously everyone's portfolio is down from that. Now we have to entertain some scenarios. And again, like I said, and I've been saying this actually since back in like September, October, November. I brought it up again yesterday, but it's something we have to discuss, and it's just, we'll talk about it, you know, basically trajectory for Bitcoin. So if we look at this chart, so Bitcoin already has had a 25% bounce, I believe. Actually, oh wow, already at 30? Is that 30% bounce now? Oh, nice. A 30, now it's going down a little bit. So between a 25 to 30% bounce so far. And I actually enter a long position. It's doing absolutely insane because, I mean, even if you would have caught anywhere in here and it's up, that's a really good trade. But guys, realistically, we've seen like a really nice bounce so far, but realistically, there is still a lot of work that Bitcoin needs to do if we are going to get bullish for Bitcoin here. So this is, I mean, I'm going to be glued even more so to these charts. I don't know how I'm going to sleep here. This is nuts. This is going to be a decisive, I mean, the month of May is going to tell us everything. There's only like a little over like 2 weeks or a little over a week left of this month, and it's going to tell us everything. Okay. I was personally expecting a big move very, very soon. Okay. I think a lot of people were, and I think a lot of people just wanted to get the dump over with. And I think a lot of people agree this dump was a little bit bigger than many people were expecting. However, overall, it still dumped in the same way that people were looking to see it dump. Now, the question is, how strong is Bitcoin? So if we go on the weekly chart, we are clearly very below the 21-week moving average now. We need to pump over 25% to get back above that. So, and that's from where we are right now after already pumping like over 20%. So if we go to the daily chart, not only are we below the 21, 50, 100 DMA, we're below the 200 DMA as well right here. It's right around 40,000 US dollars. So if Bitcoin is going to turn around here, we need to see it pick up a lot of steam and bounce very strongly here. So far, this is a good bounce, but you know, it's just we still need much more of a bounce. We should expect a lot more upside in the next few days if this market is going to remain bullish in the short term. So does this change my outlook for a 6-digit Bitcoin this year? No, it doesn't, but let me explain. So first of all, there's over 6 months of this year left. So we still have more than half of this year left. So that's a long time frame. But again, as I've been saying, worst case scenario that I think is possible for this current bull market, because again, fundamentally, nothing has changed for Bitcoin. We have that China FUD, meaningless. Bitcoin is more bullish fundamentally than ever. Technically, not so much. Technically, it has taken a beating here. But there's a lot that needs to happen for Bitcoin to get bullish in the short term, okay? Basically, reclaiming 40K is the first. I mean, it has to. If we want to remain bullish on Bitcoin, it has to. But again, like I said, I still think that worst case scenario we would see for Bitcoin is we enter a bearish trend for months, but potentially months here, very similar back in 2013 before we continue to get bullish again. Let's look at this idea that everyone's saying, oh, we're in a bear market now. What does that fundamentally mean? Because I think when people, I think 99% of people, when they think of a bear market, they think of what they've been told, which they've been told is bear markets, happen 2.5 years, every 4 years, right? They pretty much take up half of every 4-year cycle, meaning, bull market for 1 to 2 years, bear market for 1 to 2 years, and so on, right? A bear market does not have to be 2 years, okay? We could have a bear market for a month. We could have a bear market for 2 weeks. We could have a bear market for 2 months. Okay, so a bear market doesn't necessarily mean we have to enter a 2-year bear cycle, which I think is the biggest fear for everyone. Because when I say bear market, even myself, I think, oh, bear market, 2-year bear market. Doesn't have to be, okay? But what I am going to say here, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, if we are unable to really recapture a lot of this, then I do think that it becomes likely that we're going to spend the next few weeks in a bearish trend. We have a lot to make up. That's just reality. And I want to take you back to, this was back maybe in September, August of last year of 2020. So not even 12 months ago. The only thing that I was thinking was, man, crypto's doing well, but I had this big fear in the back of my mind. And that big fear was, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have enough right now. I hope prices don't go up too much because I know things are about to go crazy and I want to have as much as possible before it happens. Luckily, I got a good amount, so I was happy, but ideally, again, I would have loved to accumulate for another 6 months, right? To just keep stacking cryptocurrencies for an actual rally. Again, personally, I think that we are going to see a recovery within the next week. I personally think that is the case. I think this is an amazing signal so far. When we look for a bottom, we're starting to see everything we see. This is exactly what to look for in a bottom, but I also want to say this, is that if this truly is the bottom, that doesn't mean we're going to be heading straight up from here on out. I still think, say this is the actual bottom. We fast forward like a year and we look back and this turned out to be the actual bottom. That doesn't mean that we're just going to do this, okay? That is probably the last thing that I think would happen. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be, we have to flip so much resistance now into support. There's going to be rejections. Like, say this is truly the bottom and we start heading up, breaking 40, 50 over the next few weeks or whatever the time frame is. We have a lot of things that we need to do, and there's going to be dumps within that upward momentum, within that trend. So just because this is potentially what I do think is a good bottom here, okay? So if you made it to this point in the video, I do think that overall this is where Bitcoin has bottomed here, but that does not mean that this is going to be an easy recovery. In fact, the opposite. I think we're going to have to be realistic here, and this is psychologically, we still have more tests to come. Well, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications to never miss these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. This is psychologically up there with any dip that I've seen, right? This is just as impressive as any drop that I've seen. So without any further ado, that's it for me. Bye-bye.